So, hello and welcome to this new course on Introduction to Environmental Engineering and Science. So, as mentioned in the intro video that probably you must have seen as part of the course website, it is already there. So, the focus of this course is looking at the fundamentals of environmental engineering and science. Since this course is designed in a way so that it is useful for all the graduating professionals, all the graduating undergraduates and postgraduate students to have certain understanding of environmental concepts. So, at the completion of this course, you will not become an expert environmental engineer, but you will get a good idea of different environmental issues that the country is facing, that the world is facing today, and at the same time how your career, whatever decision you make, how you can take those decisions in a better informed manner, so that the impact on the environment from your decision is minimal. So, that is the overall goal of this particular course. So, we will talk about certain fundamentals, we will talk about sustainability concepts. So, in this particular week, which is week 1, the focus will be on what is sustainability concept. Since we said sustainability concept, so what that really means, how it relates to innovations, what are the challenges, and as I said earlier, this is a irrespective of what discipline you come from. If you had little bit of chemistry in your high school, and also at part of your you're having chemistry as part of your bachelor's program, that's good enough. Even if you're not having chemistry in the bachelor's program, but you had a decent chemistry course in your high school, that's fine, and some basic math skills. So, it's again don't get panicked. It will be a not a hardcore environmental engineering course that we typically teach in IIT Kharagpur or any IIT or NIT, those kind of institution. This is part of the goal of this course is to make you aware of environmental issues, discuss the environmental issues, and to inform you that as a citizen of the country, as a citizen of this planet, as a global citizen, how you can help the environment. That is the overall goal. But at the same time, those of you are preparing for certain competitive exams like UPSC or IES exams, IAS exams, the concepts covered here will be useful for you as well as part of your general studies, and if you are taking Indian engineering services as a civil engineer, one subject where environmental engineering is a course, environmental engineering is part of the syllabus as well. So, let us as I said, this week we will look at the sustainability concept. We will talk about what is sustainability, what is engineering for sustainability. We will try to measure sustainability, because when we say sustainability, it's a highly used and I say highly abused term today. Many conferences you see people will add sustainability term there. Many meetings you will see sustainability added. Newspaper reports, sustainability term is added. But what really that mean, and how can we measure it? As an engineer, as a scientist, as a professional, we always like to we have to have numbers, we have to have a quantitative measurement. So, that is what we will be talking about. So, this is the nutshell, the concept covered in this particular week, which is sustainability concepts and how the sustainability concept evolved, and the background about it, how as an engineer or as a scientist or as a professional you can use this sustainability concept in whatever you do, and then how to measure it, because how to say that this particular process is more sustainable and then as compared to some other process. So, before we get into nitty-gritty detail of the course, I just wanted to give you a little bit background about myself. Those of you who have taken NPTEL courses from me in the past, or you know me from some sources, you already have this background, but just those of you who are new, essentially I'm a civil engineer, civil/environmental engineer with a bachelor's degree from this particular place where I'm offering this course, which is IIT Kharagpur. Then I worked in consulting engineer at Engineers India Limited, which we worked on petrochemicals, refineries, offshore oil platforms, even pipeline, oil and gas pipelines. That was a lot of work was going on DHDS at those like taking the sulfur out from our petrol, diesel and all that. So, that is what a lot of work was done, and I traveled around India a little bit as well during that period as part of that particular job, which was for almost 4 years. And then I decided to go for PhD. So, I went abroad and did my PhD from University of Florida in environmental engineering sciences. So, they have a separate department of environmental engineering sciences which is separate from civil. Now, they have a school which now they have kind of gone back to civil engineering, big school of civil engineering. Within that, they have different programs. And then I worked in Florida for around 2.5 years as a research scientist, as a coordinator for research program. Then I was in New Zealand for nearly 2 years, did teaching and research there, worked as a professor in USA and Canada for 6 years. Then I came back in March 2015, and I usually joke around saying that during 2014, 2015, there was a lot of discussion in India regarding that Ghar Wapsi. Those of you understanding Hindi will understand what I'm talking about. So they were talking about Ghar Wapsi. There were a lot of media hues and cries on that. So I thought, we also, like me and my family, we decided let's go back and do Ghar Wapsi as well. So that was a joke, if you got it. So then I do exist in like on the web, on different social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, these days Facebook and those things as well. And then there is a Scholar Google profile. So if you want to get more details, so just give you an idea so that you know what background I am coming from, and that way you have to be with me for next 12 weeks. So if you have taken this course, if you are planning to do this course well, you have to bear with me for next 12 weeks. So you better know whom you are getting the informations from and whom you are interacting with. Again, I would like to emphasize again, as for any other NPTEL course, this course as well, we will have a weekly quiz, we will have discussion board, and there will be online exams, which is like not really online exam, it's a computer based exam which will be done at a designated centers, many places in the country, which those of you who have taken NPTEL, you know. Those who don't, those informations will be there on the website as already, if it's not already there. So be attentive, be responsive, ask questions. That is, if you don't ask questions on the discussion forum, then it becomes a little boring from our side too. We want you to be lively, we want you to ask questions. Of course, we'll have some live sessions like we did in the previous courses too. So be as interactive as possible. Of course, there are certain limitations of an online platform, but we are trying to make it as interactive as possible. So please do that. Discussion forum, we will be trying our best to reply back to you within 24 hours if you have any question. When you post a question, make sure that you look at the previous question that has been posted. So don't duplicate it, because of course we will have TAs, but then they also have certain like the hours are always limited for everyone. So don't repeat the same questions again and again, but like you can ask as many questions as you want. Don't worry about that. We will always give a response. So why this course? Before starting any course, I try to emphasize, even in the classroom or online platform, that why we should even talk about this course. What is the importance? What is the history? And that's always, I encourage each and every student, and also I'm also a student, like I consider myself a student learning every day. Good thing about academia is we get paid for learning. So we can be, we just read, write and talk to each other, give presentations, take lectures, advise students, PhD, Masters, BTech, and we get paid for it. So that's really cool, isn't it? So it's not, it's a job where you get paid for enriching your knowledge. So that's the beauty of an academic job. So in this particular course, like when I say about the why part, like why this course, it's there is a history. There was a Supreme Court directive which came, I think in 90s, which that first time the directive came in 1990s, where the institutions across the country, across India, was asked to offer a course. They call it environmental science course, EVS, and that's how we kind of know it. In many institutions, EVS course is offered, including at IIT Kharagpur and several almost I think all IITs and other places that it is offered in a different mode, but it is offered. And so there was and the reason for that, it's to sensitize the upcoming professionals in India, so that in terms of the environmental issues the country is facing and the world is facing. Now, why that is important? It is important because it doesn't matter whether you become an environmental engineer or whether you are a mechanical engineer, or you are working in a banker, or you are working as a consultant, or you are working after doing your MBA, you are working as a manager. You will make some decisions. If not, you will be following some decisions at least in the beginning of your career, but after a few years, so as you grow in your company, you will be making decisions. So to make an environmentally informed decision, you need to know the basics of environmental science. That's the reason why in most CBSE syllabus there is an EVS course was introduced throughout the country, where in EVS students started taking this EVS course. So one way you can also look at this course is kind of an extension of that. That was more on basics. Here we will talk about more about applications, like how the knowledge of environmental will be useful, of environmental tools. So this course will provide you certain tools to use while making the decision for your company. For say if you become an IAS officer and IES officer, IAS officer has a huge responsibility. If you are an engineer in urban local body, if you are a water engineer, wastewater engineer, even if you are mayor or even you are councillor, everybody makes a decision or be part of the decision which has could be huge environmental impact. So this course gives you all the basic information so that you are aware. If you are a computer science major, still you have this when you talk about the energy efficiency, you talk about water efficiency, all those things are related to the environment. So everything has a footprint, we call it environmental footprint. So Supreme Court directive was there, which was again came in, and then we started having the course related to the course was being developed in many institutions. And then we also have a concept, started having a concept called sustainable development. Now what is that sustainable development means? Sustainable development means that let's use the resources which is available from Mother Earth in such a way so that our future generation can also be able to use similar resources. Future generation should have availability of those similar resources, and we'll talk in great detail about that. India being a developing country, India as well many developing country, where we have a huge demand for resources. We have to make a lot of development, we have a lot of construction, a lot of things has to come up. So there is a demand for development activities, and we need to have a balanced approach with minimum impact on environment. Because see, if you have a huge GDP numbers, like a country's economy is growing, but then we don't have clean water, you cannot like when people say that, oh, we are making a great progress. I said, yes, we are making a great progress, but the day I will be the most happiest person in India is the day when I can go around anywhere in India and open a tap and with my glass of water and can drink it without worrying about getting gastrointestinal problem. So that will be the real development, where I can have access to sanitation wherever I go. It's not that, especially for ladies and girls, when they go for a mall, go to shopping area. Malls these days have washrooms, but if you go to like a old town shops and all that, you don't have access, and where there is the toilets are so filthy. So even if they are there, they're so filthy. So the day when we have good access of sanitation, not only in like a tick that, okay, we have built so many toilets, that's great, but the toilet should be working as well, and the toilet should be clean. And that, of course, not everything can be done by the government. So everybody has to pitch in. So at the same time, and so clean water, having access to sanitation, clean air, where I can breathe without having to put a mask on me. So that's that in Delhi and other places, we know that doctors writing prescription to some patients that you go out of Delhi. Like that person only has house in Delhi, how he can go out, where he will live? So those things are not really possible. So it's so we have to have we have to do development, but with minimum impact on the environment. So that's very, very important. So try to minimize the impact. We need development for job. There is the environmental issues also requires that environmental when we talk about environmental issues, that also will create lots and lots of jobs. And the other, like talk about solid waste issue, everywhere we like see waste being just either on the side of the road, or even if it's taken from collected, it is just going to a dump site, no treatment as such. Most of it, 70 to 80% is just going to the dump site, hardly 50 to 60% is being collected. So, if you are a mayor, if you are a IS officer, these will be your responsibilities. This will be if you are secretary of a housing society after like 10 years, 15 years down the line, you should be aware of what the things you can do with this sort of stuff. So, you will get all those kind of information from this course as well. As a future professional, you will make critical decision that related to the development activities. So, you will be making a lot of decision. This course essentially will provide you some basic tools in making those decisions. So, that is the whole purpose of this course. We are not going to make you an expert environmental engineer in 12 weeks. That is not possible because there are several courses you have to take to become that. But you can, after your bachelor's degree, you can go for a master's in environmental science, environmental engineering. There are different environmental programs out there. But the goal of this course is to provide you some basic tools so that you can make the informed decision, so that it is better for the environment and it is better for the country. So, that is the whole purpose of this particular course. So, now you might be thinking that okay, we talked about all that. So, why we are worried about environment in last few decades much more than what we typically people were worried about say 3 decades, 4 decades, 5 decades before today. So, the reason for that I will try to explain in next few slides. Mother Earth is 4.6 billion years old. That is a huge amount of time. 4.6 billion years is the age of Mother Earth. We humans, when we came to this earth, if you put that Mother Earth's the timeline as a 24-hour scale. So, as you can see on over here, this is a 24-hour scale. Sorry, it's a so this is a 24-hour scale which has been presented here for Mother Earth's timeline. And so, if you put 24 hours and then in this case 1 second becomes 52,000 years, 1 minute becomes 3.125 million years, 1 hour is 187.5 million years. So, again just to make sure that you are with me, here what we are trying to do, we have taken the entire life of Mother Earth, put it in a scale of 24 hours because it is easy for us to understand. So, in a scale of 24 hours, if we try to put it, 1 second actually means 52,000 years. So, that is what 1 second, like as soon as 1 second is over, 52,000 years is over. So, in that scale, if you look at the humans as we exist today, which is known as Homo sapiens, we have existed in this planet for only 4 seconds, just 4 seconds. Some researcher says even you can say 3 to 3.5 seconds, because depends on how you take when Homo sapiens evolved and all that. So, out of 24 hours timeline of Mother Earth that we know, humans, people like us, existed for approximately 4 seconds, and in this 4 seconds we can, if we can say that, we have really impacted the environment a lot. We have made the environment, water is polluted, air is polluted, garbage everywhere, wastewater issues not getting treated, just going to the so there is a huge amount of impact that Mother Earth is getting. So, as you can see over here, so Earth history in 24 hours, we have different species were present, and then different things happened over the life of Earth. Like Homo sapiens, we are here today, maybe say a few hundred thousand years from now, we may not exist. There might be different species ruling this planet, different species is staying on this planet. Ruling is not a good word, because we cannot really rule planet. Planet has a way of getting back at us. They are the boss, actually, we are not. We have to realize it, then only you will be able to understand that ego, that human ego is actually creating also a lot of problem. So, keeping those things in picture, just 4 seconds, lot of resources have been used, lot of impact has been made. So, we have to start doing the course correction now. Why course correction? Because if we do not do the course correction, we will be having lots and lots of problem, newer and newer type of disease which you see happening. People at very young age getting impacted. There will be impact on climate change. Climate change is happening. Disasters are happening. Recently, we had a huge we had a storm here which was impacted Odisha and some other states. So, it's and the frequency of these natural disasters are also increasing now. These natural calamities frequency is quite high, and so in terms of, we have to start looking at other aspect of it is also from a population point of view, from a human population point of view. In this particular graph, if you can look carefully, what is being shown is on the left hand side you have the global population, you have this global population on the left, and this is in year. So, initially BC, then we have AD. So, as you can see from a Stone Age, Bronze Age, Iron Age, Middle Ages, and then you have now the newer time, and it is a huge exponential. So, as you start looking at from the back from my left to right. So, as you can see from minus 500 BC we are going towards. So, the line is almost flat here as the blue line at the bottom of the x axis, the year axis, the time axis. If you can look at carefully, it is a very flat. After like around minus 500, it started picking up. We are at this particular point, which you can see. Earlier, it is totally flat over here. So, population is not that much, since the scale is in million. So, that is why you do not see much population showing up until 500 BC. So, but then as we move into AD, the population is started getting up, and there are certain hiccups. So, there is a black plague which again destroyed certain number of people, and then we had but after, as we improved from medical practices, from trying to keep us away from these different types of natural disease, we started, as we became getting more and more knowledge about how to take care of ourselves, and also as we started staying together, the community developed. We learned how to do farming, and with farming you need more hands. So, more hands with more children, and so there were variety of reasons which kind of came into play, and then we have a huge, as you can see in this particular, like a huge increase in population in a very short amount of time. And so, that is the reason now we have lots and lots of people, and we have to take care of these people. So, lots and lots of demand for resources. So, when you have huge demand for resources, you have to look at your resources in a how to take best possible, make use of best possible way how to make use of resource without and trying to bring it back, because there are certain material which we are getting out of that. We do not have too much. The abundance is there, but certain materials are becoming critical. So, there are a critical material concept. So, we need to start looking at things in a more proactive way to prevent the environment, make the life at least livable for our fellow citizens. So, that kind of looks into that. Similar population data, putting in a slightly different way. So, this is coming from this particular source, which is called Our Data in the World. Oops, sorry. Yeah. So, this is so here, as you can see, on the y axis we have the years, and then x axis also we have the timeline. And what it is telling you is how the Earth population has doubled over the period of time. So, initially it took 697, so close to 700 years for the world's population to double from 0.25 billion to 0.5 billion, and that was in 1543. So, we were only 0.5 billion less than 500 years ago. Less than 500 years ago, we were only 0.5 billion. Now, we are close to 7.6, 7.7, between like 7.5 and above. So there's a huge increase in population, and the rate of increase is also much faster. So it took nearly 700 years for the first from 0.25 to 0.5, then took 600 years, like 594 to be precise, to double from 0.375 to 0.75. Another 260 years to develop from 0.5 to 1. So it took 260 years to double from 0.5 billion to 1 billion. 125 years, less than half of that. 125 years to 1 to 2 billion. 76 years from 1.5 to 3 billion. 47 years to 2 to 4 billion. So 47 years happened. So the world's population went from 2 billion to 4 billion, from even it from a like a close to for many of the people who are above 50 years of age, they have seen the world population double. So for 47 and above the age, they have seen the world population to double. Then 37 years to 2.5 to 5 billion in 1987. In 1987, we were 5 billion people, which was 30 years ago. I remember 1987 as well. That was the like we had the first time World Cup held outside England. I am talking about Cricket World Cup, and it was in India. We lost that Kolkata game. I still feel sorry for that day, but that was in 1987, which finally I think Australia won, defeating Pakistan or Sri Lanka, I don't remember. So anyway, and probably that was the first time of Australia winning a World Cup, because the first two was West Indies and the third one was India. So yes, Australia, Alan Border's team was that was the time they first, and now they have won several times. I don't even remember how many times they have won. So it's it's 37 years, and so we are 5 billion in 1987, which was slightly more than 30 years ago now, and now we are close to 7.6 billion. So we have added another 2.5 million people in 30 some years. After this period, you can see that there is a decrease. After 37 years, we are seeing 49, 69, 95, because people have started realizing, and these are some of the projections as well. People have started realizing that having too many children are becoming a problem, because things are becoming expensive. Education is very, very expensive now. Everybody wants the children to be educated. All families, most of the families, they want their children to be educated, get a decent education. So there is a family planning and all those things kick in, and so that's why the population is rate of growth of population is coming down, but population is still increasing and will keep on increasing for next several decades. Now, so what does if you look at the overall population we talked about, but what about the population in different regions of the world? Here the different colors that you see, the top one is North and Central America, the dark green. The lighter green is your South America. So here you have North and Central America, South America. Then we have Oceania, which is a very thin, if you look at that, if you pause this video and look at it very, very carefully, you will see a very thin yellow line kind of going here. You see the very thin yellow line which is showing up there. So that's your that's the Oceania. Oceania is Australia and New Zealand, which is not too many people anyway. So that's the part right here, right there over there. Then we have Europe, and then this huge thing is Asia, where we are. And the bottom is Africa. So as you can see, from 1800 onwards to 2016, so almost last 200 years of data, the population of Asia is increasing in a much higher proportion compared to others. Africa is also picking up. Many African countries are like having a huge population. So that's so in our region we will have even more, although the world is becoming global, but it's still certain things are still local. So in our region as well, we will have a huge impact on resource demand because of increase in population. If you want to make housing for all and create a lot of jobs, create a lot of factories, so we need a lot of resources for that. So, and at urban population, if you look at the urban population is also increasing. Here you see that the yellow one shows the low and middle income, the bottom one shows the high income countries. The urban population is also going up as we are progressing. So, urbanization is we have urban is used to be 1% land surface, now it is slightly higher, but it is 60 to 70% of anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions. So, urban areas creates a lot of greenhouse gas emissions, huge concentration of population, economic activities, demand for food, energy and water materials. So, urban areas actually drive global land use changes. Now, many places as you drive around in India as well, you see that the villages, we do not see villages. When we go from one on the highway or a state highway, you finish one town and then you are basically in another town. So, there is in between, the gap is going away. So, there is no gap now. If you go from Mumbai to Surat, probably you will hardly see any gap. Hopefully, you still see that, but up to certain areas after you start on the train for several for a good period of time, you will see no farming, nothing. It's all houses, 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 houses. So, that's because of the change in the land use. Urbanization, again putting in a different perspective from 1900s to 2050, which is a projection. The black one says that it's the urban person living in an urban area, green is person living in a rural area. So, as you can see from 1900, where we have 2 out of 10 people, like 20%. Now, in 2030, which is closer to us, we are looking at nearly 60%, and 2050 it will become nearly 70%. So, 70% of the population of the world will live in urban areas. So, huge demand on resources. So, that's to meet that demand, irrespective of whatever profession you are in, you will be involved in taking care of these demand. It could be hardware demand, it could be software demand, it could be civil infrastructure demand, it could be road demands, whatever, housing, everything, buildings and all. So, all these demand requires material, it requires water, it requires energy, and material, water, energy, it has huge environmental footprint. So, that is the reason why this course is a must for each and every graduating professional in the country, and that is the motivation of why we are trying to put this course in an online platform, so that many people can take advantage of that. So, let us stop here. So, we will start our discussion from this particular slide again in the next video. So, this is again this was the first video. I hope you liked it. You have any feedback, feel free to put that in the discussion forum. We cannot entertain emails because it's individual emails, unless you are in something very emergency situation where because it's very difficult to respond back to several thousand students who will be taking this course. So, that's why we have created that discussion forum. So, please and that's a forum we will use for communication as well. So, do check your discussion forum in a regular basis. So, hope you are enjoying this course, and now you have probably realized that you do not need to drop it, you still liking it. From our side, we will make all the effort to make it an enjoyable course, and of course, it requires effort from your side too. So, thank you and see you again.